Once again, I do not have on my webcam. Please forgive me. Forgive me. I'm just here in a spirit of gratitude. It's been a while since I've talked to you. A lot has been going on in my family, personal stuff, but I basically feel like I have been given the mantle and the responsibility of keeping the family together and what is left of the family. Now, how do you do that by yourself? You don't actually do it by yourself. You actually have been given that, let's call it that task of carrying the family. You didn't choose it because if I had a choice, I would not choose this kind of pressure. Not at all. And did I know I was going to be out here alone having this kind of task? No, I never imagined. But that's how it was set up. And I think it was set up that way to fortify me for whatever it is that is ahead of me in these elder years. Now, when I was first given this task, I suffered a lot of anxiety. I was very worried. And then I started praying that I would be given the strength from different sources, from my ancestors, from the creator of my ancestors, so that I can do the tasks that I had no way of avoiding. And I'm the baby, I'm the youngest of the family. I thought I was going to have the help of my elder sister, but she passed away in July of last year. I didn't know that while she was passing away that my other sister would be coming out of the hospital. Didn't know that she was going to be released. But she has been faced with a lot of challenges even after coming out of the hospital. And it got to a point where she wasn't even able to function. So I had to go and help her get in the hospital again. So that's what's been going on. Then my only brother on my mother's side, her sibling, is unreachable and doesn't want to be contacted. Then my mother is in the nursing home and she can't talk. She can't walk and she cannot feed herself or bathe herself or clothe herself. She can't do anything for herself. So I literally have no one to talk to in my bloodline about on my mother's side about what I'm experiencing. But right before all of this happened, right before the walls came tumbling down, like really tumbling down, I found out that I have a different father from the one that's on my birth certificate. That was a shocker because I was just trying to find out about my ancestry. Now, I knew my ancestors were in Africa and in West Africa in particular, but there were a lot of things that I felt were similar, things that I had expressed, some of the things that I was doing, some of my uh, my personality traits. I found it to be in a particular ethnic group in Nigeria. So I did my ancestry and I found out that I share most of my ancestry with Nigerian people, and then Ghanaian people, and then Mali and Benin and Togo. So all West Africa, which I'm not surprised. I would meet people from all over the diaspora that look just like me. It seemed like the deeper I got into Africa, the more I saw kindred spirits. So I was very drawn to them. It's almost like, let me give you an example. You're a rock waller. or you're a pit bull, or you're in a Shih Tzu, or a lab, and you see a lab. Now you know you're a dog, but you see your tribe, and they look just like you. And so that's what was happening. And those people identified with being African. Some of them was from the Caribbean and didn't even talk about Africa, but those on the continent that talked about Africa, I felt most closest to. And it wasn't until I opened my mouth that they say, "Where are you from?" Now, I always said my mother could not help that she squatted me out on American soil. Like if we had it our way, we would have stayed in Africa and we would have grown up with our traditional ways, just like Native Americans that were just natives. They didn't even have to be called Americans because they knew this was their natural habitat, America, until other people came and invaded their territory. So a lot of them are recovering their ancestral inheritance, like they are igniting their ancestors. They are venerating their ancestors. Those who just found out or just discovered the beauty, or those who always knew, those who always longed, I identify with them. I understand what it's like because I never forgot. Never understood why my longing was stronger, or it felt, I mean, it was stronger than anybody in my family. Nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever, well, then again, let me stop. I have this aunt right here, Josephine. She's 1 year younger than my mother. Doesn't she look West African? Those cheeks. She was the one in the family who kept our oral traditions alive. She was the one who you go in her house and it's like a shrine. All over her house, all over the walls are pictures of ancestors who have, yeah, they're ancestors. They're on the other side. She had photo albums filled with obituaries, thick books. She was the one who always brought us together. Now she is very sick. And I always ask myself, who's going to continue that? Now, we try to do that on my mother's side. My youngest child tried to get everyone to come together a few times, and they just seem to be too busy. And this is the thing about the corporate trap. We trade our family, our values for money and careers. We trade that off when money should not be able to replace those things. And so, just as my youngest said, you know what? Forget about it. I'll just start my own tree. I'll just build a whole new tree, which we know is not possible. No matter how much you don't like the roots, no matter how much you don't like the roots, understand that you have been given the task to pull out the weeds from the roots that are choking the nutrients from that tree. You're not supposed to chop down the tree and burn the roots. No, you've got to pull the weeds out, right? So that tree can grow back healthier with new branches and new leaves and flowers. But that's not what a lot of nowadays people believe. We are in a state of healing, in case you didn't notice. We are in the state of awakening. This is a time where if you're not waking up, you're still sleeping or you're sleepwalking. So, with that, we've got to learn to have some grace and mercy. So with that, I have grace and mercy on my mother after finding out not just that I have African ancestry, but finding out that I have a whole different father than the one that's on my birth certificate. I had to have grace for my mother in order to be able to move forward, get to know this family without this resentment about all that I lost. Because just when we realize, wow, this family on my mother's side doesn't understand the importance of us coming together, here came this information about I have a whole different father. And I just missed him by a year and a half. But 7 years ago, he put his ancestry, he put his DNA out there. And with that DNA, it led me to him. But even if he didn't, it would have led me to my cousins. It would have led me to my brother. It would have led me to an endless amount of family who have always put family first. So I believe that he knew once I found this family, it would replace all, and more of what was taken away from me. And that is what has happened. And even when I told my family on my mother's side, nobody seemed to be overjoyed for me. Nobody. Everybody was okay with the father that I thought I had, the one who was a deadbeat, the one who was a womanizer, the one who was abusive, the one who was just not somebody that I would be proud of, the one who never took care of me. But so much has been replaced into my life. Well, I wanted to share this because I met this lady a few years ago, a woman who doesn't trust nobody. She was raised to not trust anybody. She came from a family where they were taught to just trust one another, no outsiders. Go to school and come home. And she was from Jamaica, Kingston. And so she and I befriended each other a few years ago while at the barber shop. She was getting her hair done by the hairdresser, and I was getting my hair cut from the barber. And we just started talking, and she got real comfortable with me. She started talking that patois to me, telling me about her ex-husband and her children and her grand picnic and New York and Brooklyn and ting, and how she not drive and she not trust nobody and how she mama and all of this stuff and her ex-husband and how he's so terrible. And so I gave her my phone number. I said, this lady like to talk. And I love to hear the stories of the elders. She said the conversation we had, the first one, was the longest she ever had in her life. And why was that? Because I listened. And I realized that elder had a lot that she had been longing to share. She said she had been praying for a friend. Now she lives with her children and her grandpitney, and they're really close. She lives with them. But she said she had been praying for a special somebody. And she said when she met me, she said, Father, is that the one? Is that the one that I've been praying about? Is that the one? And she shared and she shared and she shared. After we started talking for a few months after that, sharing about her mother, all these stories, which I felt was so fascinating. How when her mother died, she wasn't really able to be there with her, how that hurt her to this day. And so one day I said, Miss Cicely, I said, when is your birthday? And when she told me it was my mother's birthday, I just started crying. I started crying because it was a relationship I always wanted to have with my mother. But we were always at odds because I always kept asking about information about my father. The father I never got to know. And when she told me her birthday was on my mother's birthday, I knew she was a godsend because my mother cannot talk. So Miss Cicely sends me cards for Christmas and things like that, and birthday actually too. I sent her this text I got, like one of those chain texts. And it says, "Today someone asked me if I knew you." I laughed and said, "Ha, that's funny. I adore that woman. She's a blessed, caring, loving, sweet, beautiful woman. She's reading this message right now. I love her and I'm thankful that God brought her into my life. She's the kind of woman that when her feet hit the floor each morning, the devil says, oh no, she's up again." So I sent that to her because my friend sent it to me. Actually, my cousin sent it to me, and she said, it's Sister's Day. This was the cousin who my father raised like his daughter. She didn't have a close relationship with her father. I'm not sure where he was at, but she was the daughter he always longed for. He never had a daughter. He had a bunch of sons and only wished to have that one daughter. And meanwhile, I was there all along. So she sends me this because she's a woman of faith. I read your message. It leads me to remember. And she's 81 years old. What a blessing to get a text like this from an elder. I read your message. It leads me to remember why I don't have many friends. I always wonder why. Because I never have problems with anyone. I'm going to ask her to express that much. The other day, I realized that a young miss gave me that Bible for a birthday gift. I found a letter in the Bible that I wrote, Why I Don't Have Friends. When I received your gift, I sent her a gift for Christmas. I was and still appreciate your gift. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your gift. God is magnificent. Bless his holy name. To God be the glory. So she always praises God. She always, that's one thing I can say. She has a very strong relationship with God. The text that she sent me on January 3rd, she says, I know that you cared a lot for me, but you just keep praying for me because God answers every prayer. That's why he always tells us to wait. I just wait on him. I am all so thankful that you will do what you can. Thank you very much. All the best until I hear again from you. God loves you. That's why he died for us. Happy New Year and all the best to you and yours. You know, it's a blessing when you read these kind of texts from an elder. This she sent me on December 31st. God is great. We live to see another Christmas. Glad you got the card and you liked it. She sent me a Christmas card. I saw the doctor today, got another injection in my knee. This makes 3 injections. This one hurts more than the others, but it keeps me to walk. But I go back in January 2026 to see what the stroke did because I don't have good balance. I am not walking as I did, but I thank God for all I can do. Anyway, all the best in 2026. Let me tell you something about the elders that I know and that I have known that have crossed over. All of them have a strong relationship with the higher power. And most of them, it's God. They call them God. They call him Jesus, right? All of them have a strong relationship with their Lord and Savior. And so I just listen. I take the prayers. I receive the prayers. My other spiritual father, he's 91 years old. He's from St. Anne in Jamaica. And I am so grateful because sometimes his hand hurt him, sometimes his foot hurt him. He has a stent in his heart. He have problems with his eye. He have all kind of things going on. And he says, I cannot complain. He says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So, you got to listen to our elders and see what keeps them. What is it that you can say that has kept them all these years? What is it that you can say that makes them the way they are? All of them have a relationship with a higher power, and most of them call him Jesus. And so I listen and I receive whatever things they send me. They send me books, they send me cards and stuff. We are what you call friends. My friend's mother, and that's my friend's father. But I have another friend who her mother's on the other side. She's from Trinidad. And me and her used to sit and talk and drink tea and eat currants roll. Or sometimes we have coffee. And my friend used to be like, Mom, you don't have to have that stuff or whatever. But her mom was slim all her life, and she always cooked a lot of peas and stuff like that. But every now and then she wanted to have some coffee and she wanted to have some currant rolls. So we just had a little chit chat and talk. Excuse me, but before she got old, we used to chip and dance and ting and talk and cook in the kitchen together. So it's like I had very intimate relationships, and I have still with my friends' parents, because you have to listen to the elders and listen to what has managed to keep them all these years in peace, where they have a youthful glow and a young girl, a young boy's innocence, is because they have a relationship with the one who created them. But a lot of people think they have all the answers. But my thing is that chase the bag all you want, but if you do not stop and acknowledge what and who is making it possible for you to get the bag, you're going to lose the bag. So I just felt like sharing that pot of wisdom and just tell you, honor your elders, respect them, love them, listen to them, spend time with them, soak up their wisdom like a sponge. Appreciate them. Appreciate what they impart unto you. When you around them, don't be giving them more words than they given you. Don't outtalk them. Listen. Listen when the elders are speaking. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. And make sure when they talk, say yes. Say yes. I know, like, I work with a lot of young people, and sometimes I have to correct them. Yes, I do. And I'll say to them, no, don't address me that way. Address me this way. And some of y'all don't like it, but what you give, you will receive when you become old and gray. If you get a blessing to even live to be old. But there's a few of them who appreciated and corrected themselves. And then there was one who I was really surprised, who is from a certain country where I felt that they are so-called people of peace. And yet she wears a certain thing on her body and comes to work, but she was the one that backfired and said, I don't see what the problem is. So it was a shocker because some of us have assimilated in such a way that we forgot how we even speak and we address one another in our bloodline. So that's why, you know what, I really can't get caught up in that as much because it distracts me. People are people, and people will treat you how they really want to treat you, no matter what their background is. And those who have ears to hear, they will hear. And those who don't and who are blocked, they may not hear you at the time, but they may understand you through circumstances. How they say, who don't listen, go and feel. That means if you don't listen, you're going to feel. So you will learn in time. So that is all the wisdom I have to impart unto you right now. I just wanted to check in with you. I'm fighting a cold in case you didn't notice. I'm not even going to edit this video. My throat is getting real dry right now. I'm getting ready to have some nice warm water with some of Queen Afua's concoction here. I think I have some here on my desk. Yeah, I have this. This is called Breath of Life. It's eucalyptus and peppermints. I have one that's already open, so I'm going to put some of that in my water and drink some. I'm also going to have me some tea and chow from Nigeria. In case you don't know what chow is, find out from a Nigerian. There are certain herbs in this world that we need to be putting in our body, and these are the things that prevent us from getting sick like this. But every now and then your body have to purge anyway. So I just wanted to share that ounce of wisdom, and I am not going to actually edit this video because I just want this thing to be going through to you faster, and I don't want to waste time. All right, so peace and love to you all, and I hope you got some wisdom out of what I said. But do understand that you have to be willing to go on the journey to find out the answers to the questions that are inside of you, because some of those questions you were born with, and it is your right to find out the answers. But you got to be brave and bold enough to push through, even when your family members are against you and they try to get in your way and all this negativity around you. Sometimes it's the one whose birth canal you came through. Listen, I'm a witness, but it didn't stop me from loving my mother, even though she seemed to not like me for most of my life. And I understand now why. She never expected me to find out who my father is. But my spirit knew something did not add up. But my flesh was naive, but my spirit knew that there was something else that I was supposed to experience on this side of the green grass before I go on the other side. I'm glad I didn't give up because I look at my father's picture every day and I say, man, what a handsome man. And I said, wow, I see how my mother fell for you. I see why she fell for you. And then he is a respected man. And even when I told my aunt about him, she said, oh, he was a good man. So I leave with that. My father was a good man. And I will live the rest of my life with the remembrance that I came from good seed. I came from a man who loved me. I came from a man who looked for me and longed for me, opposed to coming from a man who abandoned me. I'm walking in that truth. All right. And I hope you find your truth. Seek the answers to the questions that are inside of you and don't give up. No matter who's against you, keep pushing through and knowing, huh, that somebody is on your side. Even in flesh, if you don't feel like nobody's with you, go on your journey, walk your path, and even through the painful times, because there's going to be a lot of pain, forgive yourself really fast and forgive others. Don't forget, the two go hand in hand. Peace and love. Thank you.